I don't know, man. This guy looks dangerous. Like, he looks fast right now.
It is Dames Nellas and Darryl Timmers for another Race Weekend Canada's F1 show. And we waited 4 weeks for that?
Yes.
For that?
4 weeks. Well, Saturday was a little dramas.
Azeraijan Grand Prix in the books. Sprint weekend, Grand Prix weekend. We'll do an overwhelmed, underwhelmed, surprised recap, but we have 2 races to do it on. So let's do the sprint race first. Overwhelmed, underwhelmed, surprise.
I'm gonna have to say, the surprise out of the whole thing is I think Checo. You gotta say, like, he was able to hold on to it. I don't know, man. This guy looks dangerous. Like, he looks fast right now. I don't know what the break did for him, but he looks so comfortable in Baku. Like, I gotta say, like, he was legit this weekend. He is a legit contender for the championship after seeing that sprint race.
And you know what? We've been talking about it for the past couple years now because he's been Max's teammate, and we always looked at him as number 2. That's the way it's been set up. But his performance was also number 2 level performance. This year, after the weekend in Azerbaijan, he's 6 points back of the World Championship lead, just off of Max Verstappen. He put together 2 wins. The sprint race, yes, I agree, that was impressive, and I have to agree, I also thought there was no contest because Max was starting in front of him for the Grand Prix, and Max was just going to walk away from it. Didn't work that way.
No, they went blow for blow trying to put the fastest laps together in the middle of the race. There was, they were both inches away from the wall. They were pushing the cars to the limit to try to beat each other, and Checo came out on top. Like, I'm very happy about that.
And I know what people are saying, particularly Max Verstappen fans, is the safety car. The timing was off, but Checo closed him down to about half a second. Just over half a second, and that was right when Max pulled into the pit. So we were gonna see the overtake on that main straight.
And if you think about it, really and truly, the only reason Max pitted was because Checo was there putting pressure on him. The team had to make a decision. Okay, do we hold up Checo, or do we pit Max? And then when the safety car came out, they were like, okay, well, we got to pit Max, right? So in the end, it's like, I think at that point, Max was pressured by Perez to pit. Like, that's it. It was the reason that he had to pit was because of Checo. It wasn't a decision of the team to be like, this is a better strategy, let's go do it.
Right.
Checo, he ended up pressuring him. Max had to pit. It all came together, and Perez jumped to the front.
Okay, so let's talk about Sergio, because he is a street king. Evidently, this guy goes very well on street circuits, and the next however many races kind of play into his hands. We have Miami, which is a street circuit, Monaco just up the way, and he's 6 points back on the championship right now. What is it about him, his driving style, his mentality? Like, what is it that where he's able to just find the pace on the street circuit?
I don't know. He was talking to the media about it, and he's like, he just gels with this place. It just suits his driving style. I feel like, he can drive really technical tracks really well. When it comes to kind of like a place like Silverstone or something open up where it's a track where it doesn't have like as much of a high risk, I feel like he doesn't excel as much. I feel like he ends up, going to a place like Baku where it's like very like, you have to be on it. You have to be driving. You cannot make any mistakes. I feel like he almost performs better under that type of pressure, where it's not like he's at a regular circuit, a Grand Prix circuit. There's lots of runoff and there's stuff like that where it's like, yes, there's limits to the track, but there's no crazy risk.
There's no hard limit.
Exactly.
Because we've seen guys put it in the wall this weekend all throughout.
And you saw it at Monaco last year. He was quick. You saw him. I just think there's people that gel with street courses and there's people that don't, and I think he's definitely one of them that do. Even when we used to race back on street courses and stuff like that, it kind of separated, I guess, the men from the boys, you want to say, because you got to be an inch away from the wall, and if you're not comfortable enough with your car to be an inch away from the wall, hey,
can't go as fast.
Can't go as fast as the guy in front of you, right?
Very simple.
You saw it while they were in the race. They were both getting inches away from the wall. There's a couple times where they both tagged the wall. That's how perfect these drivers have to be, and I don't think everyone realizes how hard that is to do for 51 laps straight, being millimeters away from the wall every single corner, every single lap. and optimizing the car and the race
with
line.
dire consequences if you get it wrong.
Exactly.
Like your race is over if you get it wrong.
Yeah, look at Nick DeVries.
And it was and the thing about DeVries was it wasn't like a crazy tap.
No.
It was a very light little tap, just enough to break the tap, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
So. Stroll did the same thing and got away with it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's where you're at. You're at a knife edge. Shouts out to Checo, man. Yeah, a great race, a great weekend.
Yes.
He had the measure on Verstappen all weekend.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it was back and forth. He pretty much had him all weekend, and this is great for him and his confidence and his bout for the championship. I think Checo is the only person that believes he can win a championship.
Yep.
But after this weekend, I think people are really raising their eyebrows up and saying, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
He might have a legitimate shot because let's be honest, nobody else on the grid is going to compete for that championship other than somebody else in a Red Bull race.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think, when it comes down to Max's confidence of being like, I'm the number one guy, I think this weekend kind of brought him back down to reality.
I don't know that anything could bring Max down to reality, but we'll talk about that.
Part of that frustration came out because...
Right.
I think that's all coming into his head now. He's like, hey, man, I couldn't catch Checo. I couldn't pass him. I had the chance. It wasn't like the team was holding me back, and he couldn't do it. So I think that kind of doesn't sit well with him. I think he's kind of realizing now that this could turn into a Hamilton-Rosberg battle, and...
Well, we need something. Like I said, after 4 weeks, that was a pretty boring race. That might be the boringest race that I've seen. Like it was pretty boring. It was pretty boring. And for all you purists out there who hate the format, well, at least you had something to look at and talk about after Saturday. Because if this was it, after a 4-week layoff, that would have been pretty underwhelming. Speaking of underwhelming, let's do underwhelming.
Underwhelming, I have to go with DeVries, man. Like sorry, are we talking about sprint race or are we talking about Rio?
I think we could just talk about the weekend in general.
I'm going to have to go with, I would say Gasly because he just had a tough weekend.
Yeah. And they brought upgrades.
Yeah, and the car looked pretty decent. It just, blowing it up and, all the things that he had a lot of issues this weekend. But, the people have those weekends. We've all had them. And you just kind of move on from them and put it behind you. But I'm going to have to go with DeVries. We all, I was a huge preacher of DeVries and I still am. But I feel like, he just... One, he's got a lot of pressure on him because of how he performed last year when he just jumped into the car.
In the Williams car, yeah.
And then two, when, Yuki is outperforming him, it's kind of like, well, we kind of expected you to be the number one, not Yuki, right? So, but again, Yuki's been in the car for how many years, and he hasn't. It's the same type of thing that when Lando was in the McLaren compared to Ricardo.
Yeah.
It's not a talent thing, it's just being comfortable in the car.
That's a good comparison, though, because there is a pedigree with DeVries. I mean, he's won everything. He's a little bit older in terms of Formula One age or whatever. But he's just having a difficult time. I mean, it's 4 races in. Difficult time coming to grips with the car. Still got 19 left, but this weekend was not good for his confidence.
No, when you make a little bit of an error like that and just clip the inside barrier, it's just showing that he is pushing his hardest to get there, and he is trying to make up for, I guess, the lack of performance from the car.
Right.
But hey, so is Yuki, and Yuki wasn't in the wall, so you can't say much about that,
And that's the thing too. Like with all the things happening on the back end, leading into the weekend, they're going to change the team principal next year. Like France is out.
Yeah.
Deputy director from Ferrari is coming over. So there's I guess that's what happens in a 4-week layoff. In the sport, a lot of chatter about things off track because nothing is happening on track tend to come around. Let's do surprise.
Surprise me. This is a different type of surprise, but Alonso. Okay. Alonso was literally tuning Stroll's car while he was driving.
That was a surprise.
I was like, what do you mean? He's like, tell Lance about my brake bias, tell Lance about this, this is, I'm trying this. And he's coaching Lance in the middle of a race while he's driving. I was like, what the?
Yeah. Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
He's a machine, that guy. And we all say it, he's one of the best, and he's, he might not have had, the performance of his careers over the time. A couple of bad decisions throughout his career definitely hampered him having more championships and more race wins and stuff like that. But hey, that's all part of Formula One, is making those right decisions to get into the right position. He finally made a right decision. He's finally in a good position to kind of battle for at least a bunch of wins this year. And if not, you never know if we have a Hamilton-Rosberg era and then all of a sudden Alonso starts creeping his way back into this championship hunt. And it surprised the heck out of me when he started telling him, hey, Lance, check my brake bias. Tell Lance about my brake bias. Tell Lance about this. Tell Lance about that. I was like, So he's literally driving Lance and his car while he's out there, and Lance is just like, wait, just turn this knob, let's do this, and get Alonso. But
just goes to show what was happening in the race.
Yeah, nothing. Or how long that straightaway is. That he has
true.
a whole full conversation with his team about how to tune the other car.
Very true, very true. Well, that was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Overwhelmed, underwhelmed, and surprised. A bit of a quick recap right there. We have more video links posted. Be sure to click that like, share, subscribe button. We appreciate it. For Darryl Timmers, name's Nellas saying farewell. Got another clip coming up right here on another Race Weekend Canada's F1 show.